play to get to the shootout, and then you've got some teams in this league that don't, and the Flyers are definitely the latter. It is mind-boggling over the years how they've gotten to their all-time shootout winning percentage, which I believe is in the 30s. It just, you'd think it would average out after a while, but it never has. So the more times they can do it in overtime, the better. I'm not sure I've ever seen Ivan Provorov that excited. That's not something you usually see out of him. But it was worth it tonight.
Yeah, and I remember the overtime winner against Montreal, the coast-to-coast one that he had. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
This one wasn't that, but oh my. First of all, Kevin Hayes had a terrific third period.
Yes.
I mean, he was just on it. I think it's the best he's looked all season in that third period in this game tonight. And the pass that he delivers through two zones full to hit Provorov in stride, because if that pass isn't in stride, he can't clear the defender to get in and make that move and undress Grubauer.
And there was something about it too. I mean, it's like it was against the grain. It's not like I'd have to go back and look at the actual goal again to double check it, but I think he had to catch that on his backhand. And it more or less came from behind him. It wasn't like it was, you see these two-line passes. Forsberg doing it, where you hit a guy in stride, but you're passing on your dominant side to somebody who's catching it on their dominant side. But that's not what happened with this one. This one was basically straight ahead, and that takes a certain amount of skill level to get that there.
Yeah, and the other part of it is Provorov's a left shot.
Right.
So he gets it, and then he's able to make that move, and he undresses Grubauer ultimately to go to the backhand. But he cut so sharply on the goal that Grubauer ended up in the second row, and Provorov is able to tuck that in. We're going to get to that in the highlights. Let's get to the highlights in the BetRivers.com highlight reel. And the Flyers, they strike first in this game, and it's a guy you just heard there on the postgame show with Tim Saunders and Steve Coates. The second star of the game, he had two, but here's the first goal of the game. 4:44 into the first. Flyers on the power play. James Van Riemsdyk picks up his sixth. Yeah, great delivery there from James Van Riemsdyk after a nice little touch setup from the captain, Claude Giroux, his 600th NHL assist, 884th point, second all-time now in Flyers points as he moves ahead of Bill Barber, not tied with Bill Barber. And that's for the first time since 1984, Bri?
Yeah, that was Billy's last season, 1984, I believe it was. It's just amazing how long that mark has been there. Nobody's been able to catch. Well, at first it was Brian Propp. He got within. He got to third, so he didn't quite make it to him. But that would have been about 1990 that one concluded, and Drew had already surpassed that. And then when next one up would be Barber, and last season 1983-84. I just want to make sure I had that right. 22 goals, 32 assists, 54 points in 63 games. He still had it right up to the very end. Just his body finally gave out. But yeah, that would have been April of '84.
Wow.
Since that number has been met. So kudos to him and to his longevity and his durability. Really, as I knock on some wood, he hasn't missed a ton of games. I think the number we reference, I believe, goes back to about 2014, 2015, that he's top 3 in scoring in the league since that time. So he's still going strong, and still has a future ahead of him.
Yeah, well, they pick up the opening goal of the game there, JVR 6. Konechny and Giroux pick up the assist, but at 12:46 on the power play, Seattle gets the game tied with a power play goal of their own. Yanni Gordon, a one-timer, just blows it by Martin Jones on the low right, just kind of above his pad and below his blocker, perfectly placed shot, and it tied the game at 1. That's how we'd end the first period. Flyers outshot significantly in that first period. Only got 6 shots on goal, get outshot 12-6. We head to the second, and it's the Seattle Kraken who take their first lead of the game, 2-1 at 14:32, and Jeremy Lauzon picks up his first of the season, but the Flyers answer in just 15 seconds. And once again, it's James Van Riemsdyk, this time his 7th goal of the season. Yeah, how about the pass here from Travis Sanheim on that left point to the almost the bottom of this right circle to JVR, who collects and delivers. But that's a great pass. You see the player that far away, but it's hard to complete that pass through a lot of bodies and sticks. But Sanheim finds a way to get it through, and JVR pounds it home.
Yeah, when you were looking at the you freeze frame this and you see that there's just one little lane to get that puck through. The defenseman that's fronting Sanheim is fronting toward the net. He's trying to block that lane. And then, for whatever reason, 2 Seattle players picked up the one net front flyer, and that left Van Riemsdyk wide open in the circle. And, that was when that Seattle goal went in, your feeling is it's just like, oh, well, that's it. Because Flyers just don't have anything right now. It's just that's you're not getting that back. And then 15 seconds later, they do. And so that right there is the turning point of the game, because up until that point, the Flyers just they didn't really have energy to get anything going, and then they were finally able to do so there in the last what ended up being 5 minutes and 15 seconds of the game.
Yeah, and you're right. Like, you look at where JVR was, and they're paying attention to the net front guy, and you're kind of going, he's kind of in no man's land. You're thinking he's not a threat there, because from that left point, you're not going to be able to get him the puck, but somehow Sanheim gets that sucker through.
Yeah, and I would wonder, I don't know if maybe Sanheim took the guys off, but there are literally 4 Seattle players playing shot here. There's a defenseman that's fronting Sanheim, the two Seattle players, I'm sorry, that'll be the forward fronting Sanheim, the 2 Seattle defensemen that are trying to remove Cam Atkinson from the crease, and then there's Grubauer himself. I mean, he's reading this shot all the way, and he just can't get to his left quick enough to get set for Van Riemsdyk's shot, and it just hits him in the shoulder and rolls right over. So something that Sanheim did out there had the entire team biting on him shooting that puck, and then he just found Van Riemsdyk on the back door.
You know what I think it was? I think it was Kevin Hayes, because he was throwing everything he could at the net.
Yeah.
You could see he had confidence, sharp angle shots. He had that one where he kind of came up the middle of the ice, and he really crept one up on Grubauer. He ended up getting the shoulder on it and knocking it out of play. But Kevin Hayes gets a couple good shots there. Now they're reading shot, and maybe that's an indicator of why they were thinking shot there as well, because Flyers started to get some pucks to the net. JVR, 2nd of the game, 7th of the season. Sanheim and Ristolainen pick up the assist. And one thing I want to bring up before we play the overtime goal was the challenge on the Seattle goal that Mike Yeo decided to throw, and it gets overturned. It's called a goal on the ice, but it is overturned. The Seattle player did impede Martin Jones' ability, made contact before the puck got there to make the save, and it's a gutsy challenge, because if you don't get it right, and who the heck knows what goalie interference is half the time, you're going on the PK.
Yeah, and at that point of the game, it's almost just like, all right, what the heck, let's try it, because we're not getting anything else going, and if we go on the penalty kill, so be it. But we do this jokingly all the time when something like this happens. We call out Adam Patterson and Vinny Eula, the Flyers goalie coaches, and we do it sort of jokingly, because in the end, it is the coach's decision. But I got to give them credit here specifically on getting them that overhead view, what must have been fairly quickly, because we didn't see that overhead view right away. And it is that overhead view that picks up the skate coming up behind Martin Jones's skate and really preventing him from moving to the right. And at that point, the puck goes between him and the Kraken player that was there. And I think that's the look that finally convinced the officials to to take that goal off, because the rest of it just kind of looked like kind of incidental contact. But once you saw that skate come behind his leg, I think that's what tilted it.
Yeah, and you realize like he's trying to slide into that save and he can't slide into it. And the skate that comes in there that you're referring to is in the blue paint.
Yes,
and he
it is.
wasn't pushed into the blue paint.
Right.
So it's pretty cut and dry. And the Flyers get the call, and it's overturned. No goal. Let's head to overtime, where the Flyers end it. They avoid the shootout at 2:14 of the extra session when Ivan Provorov picks up his third to end the game. Yeah, they'll take it. And, the thing that Provorov drops that puck off, but then, on the 3-on-3, it doesn't matter if your position is called defense or offense. You're playing both.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a defender, you're an offensive guy in the 3-on-3. There's so much ice to cover. I love that he dropped it off and then cut across the neutral zone like that, making himself an option to stretch them out. Ultimately gets the goal, third overtime winner.
Yeah, that was that is what he ended up doing, and we were trying to figure out exactly how that puck got through there. And he's coming across the blue lines, right? So he's staying onside, and that's the first key move here. And then the pass from Hayes. I mean, this pass threads the needle, because Hayes has somebody about 4 feet in front of him. So he's able. This pass went what we call in hockey straight north, which means it goes straight up the ice. If you're imagining the goal being one end, and if you went straight to the other goal, that's straight north, and that's what this puck did from about 4 feet inside the Flyers blue line straight to Provorov on the Seattle blue line, and that is that's what I'm talking about. That's a difficult thing to do. Most of the passing in the NHL is done at least at some kind of angle, one way or the other, or it's side to side. This one goes straight north. And again, he gets it past the guy that's fronting him, and also is able to get it away from the guy that's chasing Provorov. There was an outstretched stick there that Hayes had to miss in order to hit Provorov, and he really had to hit him just right in order for Provi to be able to then turn and go to the net. Because if this puck doesn't get, if it's in his skates a little bit, if it's a little bit out of his reach, he doesn't get the step on this defenseman that he's able to do. So it really was a fantastic pass from Kevin Hayes just to set this up. And, obviously the beautiful finish, but that finish doesn't happen without that great pass.
Yeah, if he doesn't lead him perfectly, he doesn't get around. Exactly. If he has to break stride in it's like a quarterback throwing to a wide receiver. Mm-hmm. He's not going to score the touchdown unless he's hitting perfect stride.
Yeah.
And there's no margin for that to be that pass to not be leading, and it led him perfectly. And Provorov takes care of business when he gets the puck with a fantastic finish. How about Cam Atkinson crashed in the net? He went flying into the net after Provorov put it in, and the net came off, and there was he and a Seattle defender. He is crashing hard there.
Well, it was Janssen that was chasing Provorov. That was the guy that was right behind him at the blue line, and so Janssen. He was willing to take a penalty there, and he was willing probably to give up a penalty shot, but he was doing everything he could to stop Provorov. And then in the course of that, Provorov, again faked Philip Grubauer all the way back to Washington, and in that process,
wow, all the way back to Washington. Leg. He skipped Colorado too.
Yeah, he stuck out his leg. Janssen tripped over that, and he went back first into the goalpost. And if you were watching this game on TV, you might have seen that there was, a pile up to the left of the post in the replays after the goal was scored. And it's because Janssen, again, went back first into the post, and then, Atkinson kind of crashed into him and made it a little bit worse. And he was, I think, pretty concerned for Janssen's situation there, or Johansson rather. So obviously ended up being okay. That's great, but I'm sure he's going to be a little bit sore in the morning just from the standpoint of how his back went into that goalpost. But it was it was a combination of the move that Provorov put on Grubauer, and then just the momentum of Johansson trying to get back there and make a play on it.
How about now the Flyers with the win have now points in 7 straight games? Does this hockey thing make no sense? You go winless in 10, right? And now you've got points
And you
in
play like
7
that.
straight.
You play
It's
like
bananas.
that, and you come away with 2 points. Yeah, I mean, it's just that's how crazy this game is, and it's why it's what part of what makes it so great, first of all, and it's why you don't get too high or too low when it comes to wins and losses and even streaks. I mean, yeah, you never want to go winless 10 games in a row, but it happens more than a lot of people realize, around the league. And so it ends up evening itself out. And maybe you don't lose 10 in a row. Maybe you only lose maybe you lose 4 in a row and then you win one and then you lose 5 more. Well, that's almost the same thing. I mean, it does even itself out after
collectively.
a while.
It is the same, right?
Yeah. So again, the one thing we want to do in this game is we want to say, okay, it's jet lag, it's whatever, and again, we've seen before where a team plays poorly, should have lost a game, they get 2 points anyway, and then that fires off some awful losing streak, and you want to make sure that doesn't happen. Flyers have to find a way again to have a little bit of a lesser opponent tomorrow is a good thing, but they got to find a way to have some energy tomorrow in San Jose and come out and not be as flat as they were in these 2 periods. It's a tall order, but hopefully they find a way to do it, and then they do have a little bit of time to rest, to continue to acclimate to the time change before they've got to deal with Los Angeles, and then they even have some more time off before Anaheim, and they're not going to have to travel there. They'll stay at least in the same metropolitan area. They may switch hotels, I don't know, but the layover between Los Angeles and Anaheim, they'll just get to stay there and hopefully enjoy some nice weather and then have a good showing against the Ducks. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's looking up from here if they can get through tomorrow night.
Since the 10-game winless skid, 4-3 win over Vegas on the road, 5-3 win over Arizona on the road, 6-1 win over the Devils at home, 3-2 shootout loss against Montreal, 4-3 overtime win over Ottawa, and a 3-2 overtime win over Seattle. That's what they've done since the 10-game losing skid. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back with more here on the postgame show. It's Brian Smith, Jason Martinez. We're back after this on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network. Back live is the Philadelphia Flyers take an overtime win over the Seattle Kraken, and they sweep their first season series over the Kraken. 6-1 win in Philadelphia, game 2 of the season, way back on October 18th, and a 3-2 overtime win, I guess what is technically yesterday.
Theoretically, yes. But, I mean, I had to stare at my watch yesterday 4 times to even know that today was Wednesday. And then I got, I'm working out of the Wells Fargo Center tonight, and I got here and Disney on Ice is here. I'm thinking, oh, this should have a nice Saturday night crowd. And then I realized, oh, it's Wednesday. It's that week of ambiguity when nobody knows what day it is or what meal you last ate or, what's the next meal that you're supposed to eat. It's, and then we get 4 straight games that are going to bridge midnight in the East, so we're really going to be messed up by this time next week.
Yeah, I don't need any help getting more messed up at this point. And we're going to be right back at it tonight, technically.
Yes,
at 10:30. Yeah, a 10:30 start at the Tank. The next 2 games are at 10:30. The Shark Tank tonight, and then the Kings at Staples coming up on New Year's Day, January 1st. And they'll wrap up with a nice early game at 10 o'clock in Anaheim. But
we'll get to follow up the Winter Classic, which is going to be on the evening of the 1st in a forecast, I believe, of -5.
Wow.
For that game. So,
perfect.
As cold as we were for the Link, I think this will be a little bit worse for those folks.
Yeah, the Link was the rain. It was just a bit of a mess. But the Flyers got to find a way to come, like you said before, they got to find a way to come out in this game against San Jose and dictate the terms a little bit, be ready to play, be adjusted to the time zone, or I don't even know if that was a factor, but I guess the real big question mark going into that game, Bri, is going to be based on the workload. Martin Jones, and this isn't just because they had a lot of shots on him, but the workload was pretty significant. Does Mike Yeo go back to Martin Jones against his former team, or does he go to Felix Sandstrom? This is going to be a fascinating decision.
It really is. And then, we were talking about this before the game. It was like 50-50, right? And it's going to really depend on how this game turned out and, kind of where things went. And, as a result, I think, aside from getting like a 50-shot game, I think his workload was probably equivalent to that tonight, even though it didn't quite get there.
Because of the possession.
Yeah, hang on a sec. Got to click over a couple of screens here. I have too many computers running and too many screens to look at. Possession did end up tilting a little bit in the third period, but it was still 54-46.
And possession's what gets the goalie.
Right, exactly.
It's the engagement.
It's not just a physical thing; it's a mental thing. It's how much time you have to spend engaged in making sure that things are going the way you want them to when they get there. So, I'm leaning at this point that it would be Martin Jones. I'm leaning that it would be Felix Sandstrom right now. I don't know exactly what the travel plans are, but it is only about an hour and a half flight. So we'll wait and see exactly what time the Flyers managed to get in tonight. But at least it shouldn't be it's a little bit better situation than the Dallas. We talked about that Dallas Carolina back-to-back where they had to play the Hurricanes and then fly 3.5 hours to Dallas and lose an hour and then try. At least they're in the same time zone. So it'll be a little bit less intense there, but hopefully they'll be able to get a good solid night's sleep and kind of go from there.
Boy, was he good in this game, Martin Jones.
Yeah.
34 saves on 36 shots. He has been there was a lot of people very critical of the signing of Martin Jones. A lot of us didn't see that one coming, right? First of all, he wasn't a free agent until he was bought out.
Right.
So that's part of it, but a lot of people didn't see that one coming, and he's been really good for the Flyers. He's given them quality starts on most nights that he's played, and he gave him a real quality one tonight with Carter Hart in COVID protocol. So, big reason, perhaps the biggest reason why the Flyers come away with the 2 points in this game and points in their last 7, and they'll get after it coming up tonight. Let's put a wrap on it. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. It's again, we've got a lot of hockey here in the next 24 hours. I'm sure folks are and looking to get some rest for to stay up for tomorrow's game too. So
yeah,
got,
well, Ryan, our producer, hit the music like in a millisecond from when I said it.
He's got one foot in his car already.
Keys are in the ignition. Let's thank Ryan Shuttlesworth, our in-studio engineer. Ryan, who was on highlights again? I'm sorry. Tom on highlights.
Good job, Tom.
Good job by Tom. Betsy Deming down there at Wells Fargo Center helping out Steve Coates. For Tim Saunders, Brian Smith, I'm Jason Martinez. You've been listening to Philadelphia Flyers Hockey, 3-2 overtime winner over the Seattle Kraken on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network. Talk to you tonight, everybody. All right, Ryan. Thanks, man. See ya. All right, everybody on the stream. We'll be back in a couple hours.
Yeah, we're going to do it again very shortly here, right?
Yeah. I'm going to do the podcast. I'll be getting to bed in a couple hours.
All righty.
All right, man. Be good.
Take it easy. We'll see you.
See ya.